However, there are some recommendations and argument within the report which are contrary to the Convention. For example, the report makes an assumption that our present system of supports and the way they are implemented already conform with the Convention. In many cases, they do not. And two of the most obvious examples are the report's comments on restrictive practices and the ability of some people to be able to make their own decisions. On page 8.30, the report says, for people with severe intellectual disabilities who exhibit challenging behaviours such as harming themselves or others, at times it will be in their best interests and the interest of their carer and those around them for restrictive practices to be used. This is in clear violation of Article 4 of the CRPD on liberty and security of the person, Article 15 on freedom from torture, cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment, and Article 16 on freedom from exploitation, violence and abuse. The report also states that where significant intellectual or mental health disabilities are present, people with disabilities may not be able to self-direct their funding by themselves. In making this statement, the PC report fails to take into account Article 12 of the CRPD about equal recognition before the law. This article states that state parties shall recognise that persons with disabilities enjoy legal capacity on an equal basis with others in all aspects of life, and that state parties shall take appropriate measures to provide access by persons with disabilities to the support they may require in exercising their capacity. Article 12 is one of the most fundamental articles in the CRPD, yet the report does not only acknowledge it, but fails to discuss the issue of supported decision-making and instead resorts to the pre-convention paradigm that there are people with disabilities who can never be involved in their own decision-making.
5 minutes.
Threaded throughout the Convention is also the basic tenet of nothing about us without us. In particular, Article 4 talks of the requirement of people with disabilities and their representative organisations to be involved in all decisions that affect their lives. Despite overwhelming evidence from the UK of the success of self-assessment, the PC has opted for assessments from professionals. In addition, it is recommending that people with disabilities do not control the governance structures. The other area of concern is the role of advocacy. There is little understanding of advocacy, and this is evidence in the failure to address it as a necessary part of the lives of people with disability. And where it is addressed, it is thought to be an appropriate function of the disability support organisations. Other things within the PC report which we are concerned about and which we do also think need clarifying is the interface with the aged care system. We believe that it's an artificial cut-off line for people when they reach the age of 65 that they can then enter one system or the other. The area of health and people who may require supports through health-related conditions. Whilst the report clearly says that people with cancer won't be covered under this, but will be covered by the health system, yet there are disabling conditions that are caused by cancer. So what happens to those people? And particularly, for example, with breast cancer, if it causes a deterioration of bones, etc. So that's one thing that we need to get some clarification around. One of the most important things for people at the moment who perhaps receive different allowances, such as the mobility allowance, is the fact that they can access a healthcare card. And yet there's no exploration of whether a healthcare card will be available to people who are covered by the scheme. We could also query the fact that people will need to put up $500 in the first place to actually get their supports. The other issue is the issue around two schemes. I'm still asking people many questions about why we need two schemes, and I'm still not being convinced why we need two schemes. So that's one of the things that we think that work needs to be done around. There's areas of work that are being left out of, or areas of assistance that are being left out of the PC, and particularly employment or open employment and education. And it just doesn't make sense that we can assess people in terms of their lives, and yet these particular aspects of their lives in terms of education and employment then get left out of the picture. Because if we continue down that sort of road, we will continue to force people into being assessed over and over and over and over again to get particular aspects of support that they might require. There's a number of other issues which I won't go into, but what I want to do now is just flick to page 31, which, bear with me. Okay, so I've talked about a few examples of the issues that need to be addressed in the report. We've got 6 weeks to get our submissions into the PC. I would urge the Productivity Commission not to try to solve every issue now, and also to make sure, as I talked before, that its recommendations are consistent with the CRPD. Once the final draft of the report is submitted to government, the next stage of the process is going to happen. We need it to convince government to adopt the recommendations. A national campaign called Every Australian Counts is underway. So far, over 10,000 people have signed up to the campaign. I would urge everyone here to do so as well. In the next 12 months, we will need to lobby, and not just the feds, but also the states as well. To join the campaign, all you need to do is Google Every Australian Counts. On May 2nd and 3rd in Melbourne, we will be holding the National Disability and Carer Congress. We are hoping that up to 1,000 people will gather to hear politicians and policymakers talk about the NDIS. We'd like you to come to this event. The following week, the In Control in New South Wales is holding a conference which will also specifically look at the various aspects of self-directed funding. So there are events that I think it's really important to get behind so that we can keep grilling our politicians and actually holding them to account. So in conclusion, the NDIS is within our grasp. I want to congratulate the Productivity Commission. I know that when we first started talking to them at the start of last year, they were very willing to listen, and I think what's come out in the report has shown that they have listened to us and that they actually get what the problems are. The report offers a lot of very exciting possibilities for people with disabilities, but it's not going to happen unless we are all in behind it. Thank you.